can't do it. We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Do it live. I can go right in and we'll do it live. F***ing thing sucks.
Okay, guys,
we're jumping into this one.
Yeah, we're hopping into this one. We're short 2 members. We got summer vacations going on.
We had a long business meeting that took a little longer than normal.
Yeah, apologize for the extra delay here. You know, the other thing I got to get going is our little scrolly thing at the bottom, Randy. So while I look for that, why don't you tell everyone what today's show title is?
Today's show title, which is show number 18, by the way, episode 18.
Episode 18.
The show title is Scheduling Around Shortages.
Look at that. I found the ticker. You know, here's the thing.
Okay.
At some point, I need to change the text on the ticker.
Well,
we'll get there, guys. Like, hey, when it comes to like,
you need to because there's
yeah, there's like a spelling error in there. It's just like when it comes to like bonus points for people correcting spelling, there's not so many bonus points.
This has been, my boots are muddy right now. We got 2 working people doing this, so this is it.
Yeah, this is it. So what we came up with that we're discussing this week, something that impacts us, oh man, this year for sure, that we're dealing with. And I think week to week as we deal with this, we're reaching back using our experience to deal with this, kind of like a piecemeal situation. So scheduling around shortages, and the shortages are because of the pandemic that we're in. We can't call that what it is, but it is I think I can say pandemic, but
you can say pandemic.
I can say pandemic. I just can't say what caused the pandemic.
But yeah, scheduling around shortages, so that's it goes against our nature, but been through it enough times to go, okay, well, let's just pull out the old rule books and see what we can do.
Yeah, because I think the first thing that I can ever remember having to deal with getting into construction as far as shortages was actually a labor shortage. It was a shortage of framers back in like 97.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that one, but
I do.
It was like a labor material doesn't really matter. So the people out there that are, investors or doing their own home. So if you broke this down into super simple terms, there's a critical path in building a home. Some things are on it and some things aren't, right? Well, can't move to the next stage if you don't have a framer.
That is true.
Right.
Some of the classic shortages I remember in the past are the famous drywall shortage.
Drywall shortage.
Where everybody was bidding on containers that were floating out somewhere in the Suez Canal.
And those critical path ones like drywall. Main things like that. One that wouldn't be the critical path, for example, would be like a brick shortage or something like that, right? Where you can progress the house along and you're still missing the thing that you're short, right? So critical path being things that you cannot progress to the next stage without.
Correct. Concrete being one of them.
Yeah, concrete. We've had that one before. Cement. Like the cement shortage. That one, man, I think I have to call the old BS on.
I don't know.
that one I think there was some collusion in that one.
I'm sure. It's like that's usually everyone. Some people jump on the shortage wagon.
Yeah,
and they just couldn't ride it.
To be honest, like with all the shortages that are going on right now, that has to be there has to be some profit taking in some of these things with the year that we had last year and that. So as purchasers, you're always using, multiple vendors against each other to keep prices in check. And then the minute there's a shortage like that and there's ability to profit take at some point in time, there's pressure to test a market down, there's pressure to test a market up.
True.
Right. And so I think any time like this, people are testing the top side of the market. How much can you get away with? Right, how much can you charge? Well, this guy said this much, this guy, and then you're still bidding it, but it's like a race to the top.
Yeah, and then you run into the situations where, depending on who you're buying products from, some of the smaller distributors, they keep less inventory on hand, so they get less reluctant to buy for further out, and then all their stuff's gone, and all of a sudden they didn't buy, and now you're waiting 3 weeks for something that
Yeah.
Maybe a larger company wouldn't have done, but we're seeing a lot of that's a cause of a lot of the shortages right now in my world is
supply chain.
It's supply chain breaks in it because they, let's say there's only limited space to store material.
Right.
Everybody's still buying, so they have to gauge what makes sense for them business wise to how much cash do you lay out on inventory before it hurts you on the current status, and so you have to play that game.
Yeah, we had one in a flooring thing that wasn't related even to the pandemic. So we were talking to this flooring supplier, and they were bringing material in, and the raw material factory actually caught on fire. And they supply. I can't honestly remember what the actual piece of raw material for the floor was, but it hit many manufacturers, right? So they all sourced the raw material out, but it wasn't just one flooring guy. So this factory burnt down, and I want to say it was Malaysia, somewhere that side of the world, right? But they supplied that raw material to many floor manufacturers, and that's what was slowing it.
It's funny you mention that because on Friday I have an appointment to go reselect flooring material because the factory the material caught fire this week. And it burned. So it's here in America though.
Yeah. Oh, it's here in America.
It might have been raw materials overseas. So now Friday I've got an appointment to go select new material because it's not because it's not going to be there.
Yeah. It's like this one thing caught fire, right? And a lot of guys bought raw material from that and then manufactured from that into different branded materials. Yeah. Right. And
in my world, it's affecting the luxury plank on the manufactured flooring pieces.
So, that's not crazy situation or last year oriented, but kind of gets wrapped up into supply shortage. And most people say, oh, well, there's a shortage and just assume that it's that. It's not that. It's like the ship getting stuck in the Suez Canal right there is like still have impacts of that months after because of how many ships got backed up. It's like just unraveling that ball of twine that getting stuff over here. There's not as I was watching a report that there's not enough people to take it off the ship is the problem, right? Unloading the ship.
I saw yesterday that ship was finally released to go. So that one was still in the canal. They held it for a while and it just got released to get out.
And then so if there's not enough people to take off the ship, then what that does is stack everything up, right? There's you can't get it all fast enough, and then that ship can't return back. It just the whole thing. So, unfortunately, I think we've got a year of this going on, and especially we talked about the chip shortage like that. That's not going to cure itself for a year of going on. And then and the chip thing goes into so many things. I didn't even, an appliance, a refrigerator, a washer and dryer. It's the smaller, less expensive chips, priority status versus, a PC or a car or something like that. They're going to go for those higher ticket things all day long. So there's just not enough suppliers of chips in the world. And then when it's so concentrated in one area, it affects everything. And so it kind of makes you rethink what that is and how you deal with it. And how you deal with it is, my suggestion is be willing to look at alternative model numbers, alternative brands, alternative things to avoid that shortage, to ebb and flow and not be so dead set. I've got to have this one thing.
Yep.
As I hear a lot of, complaints out into the marketplace, and I think those are first world complaints. We're just, used to going, oh, well, I need this or I need that, when you had selection, right? Well, it's nothing wrong with the alternative product. You just weren't considering it before.
Yeah. So, we're manufactured products when you talk about, beams have been an issue.
Yeah.
Sheet goods have been an issue, but particular, you could talk about a critical path. You get so far framing a structure and you've got to have that beam to support that. So you can build it by supporting it with, posts or 2x4 or 2x6, whatever. At some point in time, you got to have that.
Right.
And it's a specifically called out beam that the engineer needs. It's going to get inspected. So you start calling around. I'm calling around going, I'm old school. So, hey, can you give me a flitch beam that I can build here with the material I got that will substitute? And
what
they're real reluctant to do that.
Right. 22 2x12.
That's what it might be. I don't know. Just give me the number.
Right. Give me the number. Right.
I just want the choice.
Just give me the choice of what this is. Right. We're so what I laugh is because we're so, at one point in time, we were so reluctant as an industry to even use an engineered beam.
That's true.
Right. It was like, I'm not using that stupid thing. No. Right. And now we're the opposite way. We're so used to using the engineered beam that the other way is like so foreign. Yeah. Right. Because, and to be honest, like what the cost difference is, the way costs are right now, no telling which one's cheaper to use.
Well, I saw there was someone that got away from it. They started designing girder trusses for those areas.
Really?
So, I mean, which is another thought.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to have time to get that in play.
Right.
But you remember how we all felt when iJoyce first came out?
Yeah,
we were like,
right.
What is
what
that?
in the world? Yeah. I saw I have a funny, quick sidebar story of how strong, and like that was in the, I would say late 90s when that was like coming around. It was like like a thing that was, they were having to like prove how strong they were.
Right.
And worked at a home builder where some kids actually took a bulldozer, drove it through a model home, and hung a right.
I remember that.
I had this picture of this whole second floor cantilevered over just one bedroom.
So the iJoyce did good.
And the iJoyce held that whole thing. I was like, I don't think it was designed to 1/3 of it to cantilever 2/3 of the structure and hold the whole second half of it up. I was so amazed at the strength of that iJoyce right there. In my mind, I was like, you'll never see that crazy instance again because it was such a fluke instance that caused it. But the sheer strength of holding the whole second floor and roof up just by 12 feet, right? It was like a 12-foot bedroom on the first floor, but there was no kitchen, no family room, nothing on the right-hand side of there. And, as horrible of a situation as that was in my mind, I'm like, man, those kids had a lot of fun doing that.
Probably did. Right? Probably were disappointed the whole thing didn't come down.
Like they were probably pissed that the thing didn't fall down, right? Yeah. And then they were like, we don't have enough time to hang around to hit it again. So, all right, we're bailing out on this situation and went. But yeah, the pictures of that was shocking. And crazy strength situation. It just shows you how new products in the industry, right? Like we're kind of biased to new things in the industry coming in, right? And that's a perfect segue into right now. You got to recognize that bias to that thing, right? And you got to be willing to look at, okay, I need to solve this critical path situation. I need to move this project forward. And the thing that I wanted isn't available. There's definitely a million ways to skin that cat. Right. And it's about getting through this to the other side, right? And that's what we're all trying to do is get through this to move to the other side, because we know just time's costing you money. Yep. So being willing to look at those alternatives and what, not just an actual product, but like you mentioned, technique, right?
Yeah.
Ways to do it.
Yeah. Another way, another thing we're very biased against and to schedule on shortages is it's simply sometimes you just schedule way in advance.
Yeah.
But that is very difficult for our industry to do because
I think it exacerbates the problem sometimes.
I think it does, but it also if you're the schedule, if you're on a schedule, and you're scheduling and you're ordering for something that's much further out than you normally do, that's uncomfortable because when it reaches that point in the schedule, or did you do it right? If you're 2 days, it messes up the schedule. It messes
Plus,
up the
it puts
deal.
an order in their system. What I don't like about that is like then they see all these orders. Like they never knew those orders were coming in their system, right? Because you had your traditional lead time, and let's use one like interior doors for example, right? One that actually had a pretty decent lead time, right? And that's kind of like a doors. They get, for everyone out there, they take a door, right? They get these slab doors from just a couple companies in the United States, right? And your local company puts the trim on the doors, right? The jam and all that stuff, right? So the door, they're just ordering big stocks of these doors, and then they're putting the jams on and they're sending them to you. Now, your different millwork company is going to, have an order for those doors, and they're going to say, hey, I need the time to get the door, and then I need time to put the jam on it, and that give me 2 weeks, right? 2 weeks out. But now they're going, hey, we're only getting X amount of these doors. Not ordering any more doors. Go ahead, put your order in. And everyone panics and puts all the orders in.
Yep.
Well, they would have never known how many orders that were coming, but because of the fear, it's like that toilet paper syndrome, right? Just because there's a shortage, everyone runs out and grabs all the toilet paper,
get
right?
Your orders in,
right? Then now they're going, oh my gosh, we have all these orders. They're not more orders. You just scared the market into going ahead and placing the order. You were gonna get that order. But now it looks like, I got too many orders out there, right? And it's not double that or triple that or quadruple that behind that. No, that's just all the door orders in the market right now.
It's just everybody thinking ahead too,
right?
Just trying to.
Oh man, so there's going to be a shortage, or I better put my order in.
Right.
Right. Well, no one was thinking about that, and they rush and put an order in, and now, if you weren't. It's kind of like that. What was that game, Duck, Duck, Goose, or no, musical chairs when they stop the music and no one got the chair at the end. You're left out. So the guy that didn't get his order in is the one that's left out. Well, he didn't really need to be left out in that situation. You just scared up a bunch of additional orders.
True.
For that, and that's if you're on the supply side. That I understand their thinking is like, oh, I'm getting X number of doors coming in. Well, if you push it all up the supply chain like that, it literally is the toilet paper scenario. You're just scaring up everything in the market to do that. You're creating your own problem.
That is true.
Right?
That is true.
Right. So just being able to say, okay, not using that door style, I want to use this door style, right? Try not to use something that's so obscure that it was like a custom order or something, finding the thing that they're going to produce a lot of.
Yep.
And then lining up. Appliances come to mind too, like that.
Yeah, you can always also, like current situation I've gone through is garage doors. Mm-hmm. Now, although there's a shortage of doors per se, but a simple, if you're like opening up a new community building and something new, it could be as simply as a phone call, which didn't happen in this case, to go, hey, what doors do you stock? What are your common stock doors? Instead of picking one and going, this is the one I want. Well, it may not be one that they order a lot of,
right?
But they order a whole bunch of these.
And they don't communicate that very well to you, right? They're just going like, okay,
yeah, that's fine,
right? Oh, that one's going to be 10 weeks out.
Yeah, 10 weeks out.
Yeah,
but I have these other doors that look very similar that I keep in stock all the time. They don't tell you.
They don't tell you that. They're like, they just tell you that's 10 weeks out. They're not sitting. Well, this catalog of stuff that I have, this one I have in stock. I guess it's because in our industry, even though we have like outside and inside reps, they're not, and they call themselves reps, they're not necessarily trying to sell you a product. They're basically taking an order for a product, right? So it's not like you go out there and run into, a salesperson on a car lot that's actually trying to sell you something. They're literally just trying to line orders up. That's really what it is. Now, in some instances, they're out there trying to drum up new business, but they're not necessarily trying to coordinate everyone into the product on hand.
True.
And give you the information.
True.
It's a little bit of your job to ask that question. What are you stocking right now? Oh, we stock a lot of that. And can you incorporate that into what you're doing?
Yeah. A lot of times you find out that you can.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Right. By asking the right question.
Yeah, just
right?
calling ahead going, hey,
yeah.
I mean, what's your common door you stock?
But I think the email that gets sent out, the letter that gets sent out, like most everything that I get now telling you that there's a shortage or a price increase or something is usually coming through an email.
Yep.
Right now. And it's usually, here's the manufacturer. The manufacturer says this. The supplier gets scared and says that, sends out this email. Then here come all these orders in. And maybe you're not super comfortable in ordering 4 months out, right? Or, maybe things might correct itself. And there's some level of risk that you have to, measure with that too.
True.
And that's kind of always been industries, but like when the sheetrock thing happened, everyone looked around for alternative products to sheetrock, and that's where weird things entered the market.
Going back to wood paneling.
Yeah, wood paneling. Weird sizes.
That might have been the invention of shiplap because people were looking for ways to cover
like,
that
hey,
wall.
What in the world do we do here?
Well, we could put these vertical slats up here.
But I don't know if you remember this one, but like started getting, so being in America, we're on, an empirical system. We refer to everything as half inch, 5/8, stuff like that. We started getting stuff in like millimeters that wasn't the quite same thickness.
Yep.
Right there. And then you got to go do a patch later, and you're like, wait a minute, this is some weird size.
Well, no, yeah, that whole drywall deal. There were a lot of updated handbooks and builders across the country on what not to stay away from or don't do this, and everything that was coming from a lot of one particular place overseas.
Yeah,
had way too much sulfur in it,
right,
and it off gassed, and it caused a lot of problems. And
other thing you got to worry about is formaldehyde in products and stuff. So California, has very strict formaldehyde thing. Flooring's an example of that, but MDF products and there's just a lot of products that use formaldehyde that you wouldn't normally think of. And if your state has regulations for that, once you start going out there and trying to grab these products sourced around the world just to do it, you have to kind of ask the question, what's in that thing? How is it made? Does it still meet the standards? Yes, you can get it, but should you use it?
Yes.
Right.
Sometimes the answer is like, going to anyway.
Yeah. We're getting it to get this project done. So,
but it does have to everything. You got to ask tons of questions. It's got to meet standards, and
you
can't just willy nilly change products. It's got to do what you expect and if it's what you presented.
Like understanding what the standard is.